Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new Doctor Who video where today I want to talk a little bit about the Vanquishers. It's not technically my preview of the finale of Series 13 or Doctor Who Flux, but I more just want to give my kind of opinion and perspective on why I think that the Vanquishers could well be Chris Chibnall's defining episode of Doctor Who. So yes, quickly first, guys, if you are new here, please hit that subscribe button and of course hit that like button as well. But yeah, today I am talking all about Chris Chibnall, about Doctor Who Flux, and obviously the finale of the series, The Vanquishers, which Doctor Who Flux has set up a lot of stuff. There's a lot going on in it throughout the series and there is a lot left to tie up. And obviously Chris Chibnall is tasked with, resolving all of this in the finale. And that's kind of part of the reason why I think this is just such a significant episode for him. Because if we look back through Chris Chibnall's era, obviously Series 11, there's nothing particularly defining about it. It was just 10 episodes of Doctor Who that existed, that happened. Some of them weren't very good, some of them were okay. There wasn't anything special about the series. And then sure, there's certainly Series 12 brought some more significant episodes. You think of Fugitive of the Judoon, that's, it was a pretty big one. That introduced the new Doctor, there was a lot going on in that episode. And then probably up until now, you'd say that the sort of episode that defines Chris Chibnall, defines whether you like his era of the show, was The Timeless Children. Because of the controversial nature of it, the way that the story is told is very much in the way that Chris Chibnall tells all of his Doctor Who. And so if you kind of like and appreciate that format, then, it works for you. And if you like, obviously, fundamentally, whether you like the idea of the Timeless Child or not, and the Doctor being the Timeless Child and all that entails, that sort of meant that The Timeless Children became that defining episode for Chris, that as an audience we can say that's kind of the one to decide whether you like the era or not. And so, although that is the case up until now, and Revolution of the Daleks didn't change that, and I don't think up until this point of Doctor Who Flux anything individually has changed it, but I do feel like the Vanquishers really could be this kind of defining point for Chris, because I would say on the whole, well, this has been his best series so far, and on the whole, I'd say the audience are enjoying it more so than the previous two series. I'm not saying it's perfect, I'm not saying everybody's loving it. Sure, there's still the people on Twitter and whatever moaning about it, and, that's always the case, and that's fine. It's okay to have different opinions. I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong for disliking it. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong for liking it. We are all allowed opinions. But I would say the general consensus is that this series has been stronger than the previous two. Part of the reason that probably is down to the serial nature of it. I think it's a format that's really helped the show in this series in terms of giving more sort of higher stakes to it, more excitement to it, just more energy to the show almost. But with all of this serialization and all these long-running plot threads means that the finale becomes more important than ever. Now, we look back to past series of Doctor Who where the finale either wasn't very good or was quite controversial. You think Series 9, Hellbent, was certainly a controversial episode to end the series on. But it didn't feel like if you disliked Hellbent, therefore that spoilt the whole series for you and, you'd never go and touch it with a barge pole again. The same to an extent, I'd say, with Series 12 as well. There's a lot of episodes in there that you can still just go and enjoy, despite the fact you might dislike The Timeless Children a lot. And I feel like across most of New Who, sure, there's been series where the finales haven't been great, but in general, you were still able to enjoy the rest of that series for what it was, because it wasn't all about kind of building towards that finale throughout the whole series. There were standalone individual episodes and whatever. Whereas I feel like with Doctor Who Flux, because it's so serialised, and this is something that I kind of thought from the beginning, and I definitely think now we're at the end of episode 5, is, this series will be defined by its finale. If the finale is awful and it fails to wrap up the plot threads in a satisfying way, in a way that we're happy with as an audience, and it all kind of falls apart at the last minute, that wrecks the whole series, because it wrecks everything that it's building towards, right from episode 1, introducing the Flux and introducing Swarm and Azure and all of that sort of initial introduction of important plot threads. And obviously there was lots of other stuff in there, but all of that which spreads through the Temple of Atropos, and then we get the Angels, we end up at Division, and all of this has been all building to this point in the finale, The Vanquishers. Even to an extent, you could say the last series as well has been building towards this point, with the Doctor's past being changed for her, her finding out all these memories that she didn't know, and kind of reaching presumably this defining point in the finale where it's going to be the opportunity to get all those memories back, and whether she takes it or not. Spoiler alert, she's not going to, because that defeats the whole point of everything if she gets all of her memories back. So I will just think it's ridiculous if she does. But that's why I just think this is such a significant, important episode for Chris Chibnall. For Doctor Who as a brand, as a franchise, whatever you want to call it, this isn't a particularly important episode of Doctor Who because the future is secured. We saw yesterday that Sony have bought Bad Wolf Pictures or Bad Wolf Television that are going to be producing the programme. So you've got a great production company behind it. You've got Russell T Davies behind it. You've got even a big money sort of overarching company in Sony running it. Sure, Sony don't own Doctor Who. I like to make this clear. The BBC still own the rights to Doctor Who, but they are getting Bad Wolf to produce it, and Sony just happens to own Bad Wolf. It's essentially where we're at. But the fact is, that's all done, that's secured. There's going to be multiple series of that into the mid-2020s. Like that's coming. It's going to be a while, but it's coming. So from that point of view, this episode doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't affect the future of the show in any way. If it's awful and there's a fan uproar, nothing's going to change. They've still filmed the 3 specials, and it's all going to be fine. But I think for Chris Chibnall, as a writer, as a Doctor Who writer, I feel like The Vanquishers really could be the episode that either people remember him for, well, probably that people do remember him for, but whether that's positively or negatively, I just don't know yet, because it's going to define the best series that he's done, which could suddenly then become, the worst series he's done if it all falls apart at the last minute. But also, if he really can pull off seemingly the impossible and tie up all these plot threads and create a satisfying conclusion in 60 minutes, then he's done the impossible and, really kind of pulled through as a great writer for Doctor Who. Like, I don't fundamentally think he's an awful writer for Doctor Who. Sure, a fair amount of his stuff hasn't always worked perfectly, and I wouldn't say it's my favourite era of the show, but I fundamentally really enjoyed Doctor Who Flux, and I just really, really don't want to see it all fall apart at the last minute. So yeah, some people probably will say that The Timeless Children will always be the defining episode, or maybe it could end up being the Centenary Special, which will be Jodie and Chris's final episodes. Could those be the defining ones? I'd say it's possible those will permanently be the defining episodes of Doctor Who, or of the Chris Chibnall era of Doctor Who, but I really do feel The Vanquishers, given that I think we're going to get a lot more stuff around the Doctor's backstory in this as well, I think that will kind of create more significance to the episode almost, alongside all the Flux stuff, the Centauran stuff, and everything else that's being thrown into this episode. And I just really want Doctor Who to be good. I really want this episode to work. I want it to be great. I sometimes feel like you look at social media and some people just want the show to be bad. They're already set in their ways that Chris Chibnall is an awful writer, and there is no way possible that this episode could be good. And I don't feel like that, and I don't want to feel like that about the show. And I just really, really hope that Chris Chibnall can pull through and kind of make this a defining episode for his era in a good way. But yeah, guys, that's just my thoughts, my perspective on the importance of the finale this week, or this Sunday that's coming up. Guys, please let me know in your comments below what you think is the defining episode of the Chris Chibnall era so far, and whether you think The Vanquishers could be it, or whether it could be the Centenary Special, or whatever. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on what you think is sort of defining Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who. But yeah, guys, that's just about it for this video. Please hit that like button and that subscribe button. I'll be back again tomorrow. We'll be having a new Megan Reacts to the Doctor Falls. You do not want to miss that. It's a very, very exciting one. And then on Saturday evening, I'll also be doing a full preview for The Vanquishers before, obviously, the episode airing on Sunday. But until then, that's all for now, guys. I will see you again very, very soon for a brand new video. But until then, it's goodbye.